Hey guys, this is Josh from Sandbox Computers coming to you with another Unity 3D tutorial. So today we're going to go over how to make a main menu, and to do that we're gonna implement some buttons. We're going to make some UI user interface text. We're going to have like an ending condition for the game. And then we're gonna have like kind of an intro to scripting so that we can transfer between scenes. And then we're actually gonna build the whole project so that anyone can play it. So this is kind of a complete your project type thing. And so to complete this project, we're gonna use the previous physics learning game that we used in the last video. So if you want to just take a look at what that actually did, you play it, and we spawn objects up here. And we get a score as they hit the bottom of the ramp. And we have a bunch of different properties we can play with this, with these cubes in the physics realm. So a nice little learning game. We can add, and we can play with the friction, the bounciness, the static friction, and dynamic friction of the objects, and so on. And yeah, so we'll also make another level, maybe a harder level, in order to kind of round out our game a little bit. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is, so in order to make multiple levels that we can switch between, we always use scenes. So this is our main scene that we're in right now. So we're going to go ahead and make a new scene. So right click, create, and then we go to scene. Now we have a scene. So we're going to call this our menu scene. Alright. So now we have a blank scene. There's nothing in it at all. So we're going to need a couple things in this scene. First of all, we're going to need a canvas for, so this is going to be our main menu, so we're going to have to kind of brainstorm what we want in this. We're going to want a start button, a help button to maybe give us some directions on how to play the game, and then a quit button to exit out of the game. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and make that user interface. So to make a user interface, what we always need in it is a UI canvas. So we go and create one of these canvases. I'm going to rename mine UI for user interface. Save that, and there we go. So in the UI, a bunch of stuff. So if we double click that, we can zoom out. So we look at, so this is always displayed in the game view down here. So our game view is always going to be able to see a complete picture of our canvas. Okay, so that means how we position stuff on the canvas is going to be it's going to show up in a 1-to-1 scaled ratio on our game view. So if I want a couple of things on here, we probably want our title. So let's go ahead and right click 3D. I'm going to go to UI and then create text. And this is going to be our title. So we probably want this. What we can do is we can position ourselves so we can see. Have a nice little view of this. We can position our text like this. So here our text showed up. Oh, actually, we're on the opposite side of it. We want to be on the other side. That, so we can see how it looks. There we go. Alright, so we can move our text up a little bit. Oh, didn't move up. There we go. Move our text up a little bit. We have to actually select the text object. This will just be our game title. We'll say, and then in the inspector, we can go ahead and change a bunch of attributes. We can set a font. We can set the text. So I'm gonna we can call it I don't know. Juniper sounds cool. Juniper's Physics Playground. That just sounds like a cool name to me. And we can resize this a little bit. Oh no, I don't want to do that. How can we do this? We want to rotate this out. There we go. And to set the and then to make it so it can overflow out of the text box, we just can set the horizontal overflow to overflow, and vertical overflow to overflow as well. But we don't need that right now, so we're just going to leave it like this. And here you can see it just displays our text a nice format. And let's see, we can change the color. We can change it to a bright red. We can change the font to something like, oh, I guess all we have is Arial. That works for now. Change it to 20, maybe 40. And we're gonna have to change the vertical overflow. And then move this a little bit. There we go. So we have our game view positioned so that we can see it nicely like this. And then we probably don't want this skybox in our background. We probably don't want like a nice colored background. So we can go ahead and go to our lighting panel. So go to Window and Lighting. I'm going to bring up our lighting right now. Settings. There you go. I'm going to go ahead and dock that up here. And actually, yeah, our no, that's in the camera, my bad. So the camera inspector, that's where we can change our lighting. So we want a solid color. There you go. Make that a nice purple. Okay. We have a nice background, and then let's see. Now we can make a couple of buttons. So how are we gonna do this? So under our canvas, so all of our UI elements have to be childs of our canvas, which is this UI guy right here. So we're gonna have to right click, and we're gonna make a couple buttons. So one of them is gonna start the game, one of them is gonna go to a help menu to explain how the game works, and one of them is gonna end the game and exit out. So we're gonna need a 3D object UI button. And then here, so our button appears, and let's go ahead and we'll just leave all this stuff as the defaults. And let's go ahead and change the text. Where's the text? Color tint, normal color. There we go. Text. And then we can change that to start game. Alright, we have a start game button. We can just make it start like that. Alright, start. And then make that a nice. Oh, not this. Oh, I guess that could work. Yeah, let's do it like this. Make a nice red color too. I like red. And we'll make another button. So this button will be start button. We'll make another button and call this say button. We'll call this button. And we'll make another button and call this one our end button. And button. I'll go ahead and reposition all of these guys like that, and then change the text on those. So the text is actually another object that's created with it, the child object. So I'm going to say help and game, or exit maybe. Yeah, it's a little more appropriate. And there we go. So we have a bunch of buttons in our user interface. And now we're going to have to do stuff with these buttons. So we have a couple different scenes. So we have our menu scene, which we're in. Let me go ahead and save this scene. And then we have our main scene here. We can switch between them just by double clicking on them. And let's see. There we go. Alright, let me go back to the menu scene. And so we're going to have a little bit of an intro into scripting in this video so that we can, you can get a little bit of a background in scripting necessary to create games in Unity, along with, it's a kind of a natural natural fit for user interfaces, because we can't actually go between different scenes or transition between different scenes without a little bit of scripting. So we're gonna make some scripts. So I'm gonna make a script. We have our destroys cubes script and spawn cubes script. I'm not gonna go over those in this video, but we are gonna create a new script, C# script. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna right click on our scripts folder, go to create, and then C# script. So we can actually create two different types of scripts, C# or JavaScript. You can do anything you want with either of them. From what I've seen, most people do prefer C#, and so that's what I prefer C#, so I'm going to use it. You can learn JavaScript, find plenty of tutorials online, but I'm going to teach C#. So I'm going to name this script transition script, and we're going to open it up. So double click it. What this is going to do is it's going to open it up. It's going to open it up in a code editor. One second. Alright, so that's going to open up this new script that we have. So we can switch back and forth between the editor, this is the Unity editor, and the script. So I'm actually using Visual Studio because I really like Visual Studio. You might have MonoDevelop installed. Either one, you can do anything with the language you want in it. I just prefer Visual Studio as an editor. It's much more fluent, looks nicer, and a little bit more powerful, and sometimes faster to use. So yeah, we're going to use Visual Studio. So we have a couple different things here. So this is C#. It's if you're familiar with programming languages, it's a very Java-like language. So we have a bunch of different things. What this does is it actually creates a class for us. A class is something that is an object in itself that does stuff. So here our class is called transition, and it actually uses mono behavior, which is the Unity class that it inherits from. So mono behavior is basically, just think of it as the Unity engine, and it also uses the Unity engine code libraries along with just the regular system collections code libraries. So if you use Java, this is the same as using import statements. It's just in C# it's called using. And so we have a couple other things. We have and when we create C# scripts in Unity, it automatically gives us a couple functions. It gives us the start function. This is used for, it tells us also in a comment, use this for initialization. So all the code we put in here is going to be initialized as soon as this object starts in our game. So if our object is in our hierarchy when the game starts, all this code in the start is automatically going to be initialized. Okay, it's automatically going to be executed, and it only happens once. The update function is actually where a lot of the power in most game engines come from. Most game engines have something like this, and also usually have something like this start function. But the update function is it's called once per frame in the game. So a game runs off of frames, which means that there is, if you have a flip book, then you flip the book, and you flip through the pages. Each page is a frame, and you know how you flip through it kind of determines what it looks like, and that's essentially what's happening in a game. You have animation frames, and then you also have, once per frame, you also have this update function being called, which is, you know, doing checks on everything, calls, whatever. And yeah, so we're gonna actually write some code in here for our user interface to transfer between scenes. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have to make a couple of references. So I'm just going to go up here to the top above these two functions. We're going to make a couple public variable references. So we're going to make a public button. So if you do not want to do that. I know one thing I made a mistake. You have to do before you do anything is you actually have to we have to say using, so we have to import some more libraries from Unity. So using UnityEngine.UI, and then we're also going to want using UnityEngine .sceneManagement. Alright, so this is going to import our libraries for our Unity Engine's UI interface code libraries, and this is going to import all our Unity Engine scene management code libraries that we can use. We're going to take advantage and full advantage of those. This invalid void. Oh, that's why. Okay, so we have our public button variable. So this is our type of variable that we're going to use. This is its access, its level of access. We're setting it to public so we can access it outside of the function because we are going to need that. This button is going to be called the start button. So this is going to be so this start button is actually going to be this guy, this start button here, and we're just creating a reference to it in our code. That's why we called it of type button. Okay, and then we're also going to want a public button help button, and we're going to want a public button exit button. Alright, and so what we're going to do, what's actually cool about this is we can and when we set public variables in Unity, those variables are then accessible from our editor. Okay, so they become accessible and we can assign them to stuff. So what we're gonna do actually, let's see, we go down here, exit out of this guy. So we're actually gonna make another game object in the editor, and we're gonna call it our. We're gonna make an empty game object, and we're gonna call it our say our scene manager. So this guy is going to actually manage how our scenes flow between each other. Okay, and we're gonna this script that we're in the process of making, this guy, we're actually gonna throw it on that scene manager like that. Okay, so now it's on it, and those public variables now show up on that script, and we can assign them. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. We're going to go to our UI, and we're going to grab the start button, put it on the start button variable. We're going to put the help button, put it on the help button variable. We're going to grab the end button, put it on the end button variable. So now, when this script starts executing when we run our game, it's automatically going to have objects to be referenced from, and then we can do stuff with them. So there's a couple more things we need to do. So this is common practice in Unity scripting. We use this start function to initialize our objects to where we want them to be, how we want them to be manipulated. So we are going to, so we have so on our buttons, we have a component that's called button script on all our buttons. So what we're going to do is in our start function, in our initialization, we're going to say start button equals, so that's this variable here. So that's actually the button object that we had here, but that's just a game object that we put on it. So we're going to say it's equal to start button dot get component, these two things, and button, and then we have to have these two parentheses after C# syntax. So this is saying our start button, which is, this is actually a game object that's initialized, is equal to itself, its component, the get component function. Oops, didn't want to do that. And it grabs the button component. So if there's not a button component, then it's going to give us an error. But if there is a button component, which we already know there is, then it's going to grab the button component and it's going to assign it to it. Okay. So now we need to do the same thing with our help button and our exit button. So our help button will be equal to help button dot get component button, the parentheses at the end, and then same thing with our exit button. So our exit button is an exit button. I'm saying what? Okay, cool. Get component button. Alright, Now we have our start, help, and exit button all set to go. And so we actually don't need this update function in here. We're not going to do anything with it right now in this video. So we're going to get rid of that. And then below here, we're going to make a couple of functions. And so we also have, just like variables, we have these access modifiers that are going to set our access level to the functions. So we're going to create a couple functions actually. So we're going to create a function that is going to be called when our start button is pressed. We're going to create a function that's called when our help button is pressed, and we're going to create a function that's called when the exit button is pressed. And our logic for what we want our game to do is going to be put in those functions. Alright, so we're going to make public void, we're going to say transition, we can name this whatever we want. We're going to say transition scene. Okay, and we're going to, so we always want C# syntax, we always want an access modifier. What it returns in this case is void, so nothing. And then what we want to name it, the parentheses, and any parameters are put in inside the parentheses. And then all our code that we want to be executed when this function is called is put inside these two curly brackets. Okay, so here, when this function is called, we're actually not going to call this function inside this this script here. We're going to call it in the editor, and I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. But we're going to say, so we're going to call this function when the start button is pressed. Okay, so let's see. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to say scene manager. So this is our scene manager that manages how our scenes, which scene we're in, and how we transition between scenes. And we inherit it by having this code library up here, UnityEngine.SceneManagement. Okay, and seed manager dot load scene, and then we want to load a specific scene. So we want to load our main scene. So we're going to say main in double quotes because this is a string. Okay, and then we're going to create some more functions. Public void transition, just say actually help scene, and then curly brackets, and then here we're going to say main scene, and then we're going to create another function, public void exit game. Okay, and so should be pretty obvious what we're going to do with these, kind of obvious. But so this one, we're going to create a new scene that's going to be called our help scene. Okay, and we're going to transition to that. We help, and then on our exit game, we are going to say application dot quit. And this is just going to simply exit our application. Okay. Now our code looks nice and formatted and everything. And yeah, so this should be it for this for this whole function. So we're gonna go ahead and go back to our editor. We already have all this on here. So in our start button, there you go. So we're going to have to do some stuff with those. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to our start button. Here we have on our button component, we have this thing called onClick. Okay, this is a function that's already attached to our button, and right now nothing happens when we click on it. So we're going to press this add symbol, and we're going to add an object onto it. And that object is going to be actually our scene manager, because that has our transition class on it. So we're going to say scene manager, grab that, has our scene manager on it, and yeah, and we're going to put a function on it. And we're going to say transition, because that's our guy, and we're going to transition main scene. So transition script, and then it transitions to the main transition main scene function that we have on here. Okay, so that's going to happen when we click our start button. So let's go ahead and see if that works actually. Make sure it works. And click it. Main couldn't be loaded because it has not been added to the build settings, or the asset bundle has not been loaded. Alright, so forgot something. So we're going to go to File, and we're going to go to Build Settings. And here we have to add our different scenes into here. So we're going to add open scenes, our menu scene, and then we're going to add, how do we add our other scenes? Build. I think we have to go in together main scene. Yeah. There we go. So we have our scenes, and now let's go back to our menu. Let's try this out now. See if this works. There we go. And it transitions to our main scene. I don't know why it's all dark like this. It's weird. It kind of looks cool. I'll leave it like that just because it looks kind of cool. The light must have gotten turned off somehow. Good. It's really weird. Okay. It doesn't do that when we just started our scene. Odd. Quite odd. I'm going to clear this actually. Where's our console? Console. Also, with code, if you have errors, they're going to come out in this window called the console. Very important. So I'm going to dock that up here. Clear all these errors out because I should have gotten rid of them for the most part. And transitions to our scene. It's all black for some reason. Really weird. Okay, well, we'll fix that later. A little bit of debugging to do. But so we have our start scene, our start button, and that works. So now we're going to create a couple more scenes. We're going to say, create a help scene. So folder, or what am I doing? Scene, help, and this guy is just going to be. We won't do anything for a minute for now. We're just going to assign it to our help button. So our help button right here. We're going to on-click. We're going to add our scene manager on, just like we did for our start. And we're going to assign it the function transition and transition help scene. Okay. And that, so our help scene is called help. And there we go. It's called help in our script as well. And yeah, so our exit button, here we go. Here we have this. We're going to do the same thing. Grab our object scene. Why do I keep on typing in with it? Function, transition. We want exit game. Right? That was called exit game. Cool. And that should work. That probably isn't actually, that's not going to do anything because we don't actually have our game built, which I will show you how to do in this video. Yeah, so that's not actually going to do anything, but this should work. Oh, we haven't added this to the build settings. We need to add our help scene. We're going to go to help. We're going to go to our build settings and add open scenes. Cool. So now that should work. So we can go to menu, play, press help. We get it. And let's add another button in our help scene. Actually, let's start our help scene. Create a canvas, and we're going to say button. Let me see. Transition menu button, and we are going to make a scene manager in here. What am I doing? Scene manager. So I'm doing the same thing as I did on the main menu, or not scene manager, scene manager. There we go. I'm just putting this transition guy on here, and then we're going to create another function. We're going to say transition main menu, copy paste that on, and we're going to say what's it called? It's called menu. Okay. Menu transition menu scene. There we go. So now a function to transition back to the menu scene from here, and we're going to say let's call it. Oh, we need another class, I believe. Actually, yeah, we should be good. So, do we need? I don't know if this might give us an error because we don't actually have the start, help, and exit buttons, and if not, we might have to make another class for it. Yeah, let's see what happens. We'll just go transition menu text, call it back. We'll put some other text in there after this. We'll say our help menu is going to have a text guy in there, and he will say what to do. So drop cubes and watch them fall. Let's make it so it doesn't. So let's overflow. Okay, that's our help scene. We'll leave it, and we'll make it nice and simple for now. Save that. And oh wait, we need to assign our button. Leave transition menu button. I'll put a slash in there, and we will. We have that on. Add our function scene manager function transition menu scene. And let's see if that works real quick. It might not. Oops. Okay, it's working. It's giving us a null reference exception. But, you know, who cares? Object reference, it's giving it because our object references here aren't being set in that class, in the help menu class. But I don't really care because it's still working. So, bad programming practice to just not care about null references, but you know what? This is not a programming class. So yeah, so that all works, and yeah, we have a main menu for our game now. Okay, so let's see, what else do we need? So also, what we probably want is a second level, and then some sort of exit condition for our levels to finish off for us. I'm going to clear all this out because it's annoying. And we're going to go to our main scene. I'm going to duplicate this actually. Duplicate. Actually no, before we do that, I'm not going to duplicate. Keep the scene. We are going to say, I'm going to create another class. No, we already have our destroyer. Yeah, we already have this guy. So let's just modify our destroy cube script. Double click on it. Click on this guy. And so we already have a score here. So we're just gonna say our update function. So remember our update function. It's called one per frame. We're gonna make this super simple, and we're just gonna say if score is greater than or equal to 100, then we're going to say scene manager up. So we need to import our scene manager up here. We're going to say using scene Unity engine scene management. Okay, this is our scene management that we had, that I showed you guys before. That code library, we're going to say scene manager dot transition. Wait, what do we do for this? Spawn key transition load scene. That's right. I want to say nope. There we go. Dot load scene and we're going to say level 2. Okay, so this is just going to load our level 2, and we're going to create a level 2 right now. We're going to go to our main. So remember, so this is so if our score is incremented every time one of our cubes gets to the bottom, and this guy shouldn't be up here. It looks weird. And so it starts at 0 up here. So it starts at 0 every time one of our cubes gets to the bottom. It increments it by 1, and so as soon as it gets to 100, we're going to load our level 2. Not the best game in the world, but it will be fun. I promise. And so we're going to create a scene called level 2. So actually, I'm just going to duplicate this scene, our main scene. It's going to be called main 1. We're going to call it level 2. Now, we are going to be extremely smart. We're going to file, build settings, add open scenes. It's going to add it automatically so we don't get that dumb error. We have our level 2, and we're going to maybe change it up a little bit. Say we have here, let's see, where's our guy? There you go. Oops. I'm going to make this a little bit harder. For example, could go in and move these guys around, make them a little bit larger, make it so this one blocks the path or something. Do whatever we want, but essentially this is what's going to happen. We're going to say, maybe we could say a bunch of these. We can make another one, like another duplicate. This one is going to maybe make this scene a little bit harder to get through. No, I want that. There we go. I want to rotate on this axis. Okay. Something like that. You guys are a lot more imaginative than I am, and we'll be able to make something way cooler than this. But this is the general logic of how this physics game is going to execute and go to a new level. Okay. And so, let's see. We have our score that goes up, and then, yeah. And now that we have our second level made, so we have a menu, main level, level 2, help menu. Let's go ahead and take care of these exceptions down here. So exceptions are caused by some code error, and usually they cause the program to crash. In this case, it's not. But so we're actually, to deal with these, we're just going to make another transition class that will have some slightly different, they won't have those public variables that we need to set in. So just going to duplicate this. This one's going to be called transition 1 now. We can say no to that. We can exit out of this. There we go. Now we need to rename this transition 1. So we always need the public class, the name, to be the same as the name of the class. Okay. So we have that set up, and let me see if that compiles. Okay, yeah, it's working. All right. So now we can go ahead. So in our second transition class, we can get rid of these, I believe. Let me take a look at this. On our UI, our score, or no. Where is it? Oh, okay. We need to say in our help menu, actually, we need to put this transition. So we're gonna, in this new transition function, we're going to go ahead and comment all this stuff out. So comments are just code that doesn't actually execute. So we're going to comment all these public variables out, just like this. Those are all commented out now. And in C# we comment by doing this double slash, and it should turn green if it's in Visual Studio. Okay, so now we can go ahead and say we want the on our scene manager in our help class, we want the not the transition script to be on here, so we're going to remove this, but the remove this. We want that new transition 1 script to be on there that we made. And then we're going to throw that on there, so we're going to say scene manager on the transition button, scene manager dot transition 1 transition menu scene. There we go. So that's going to transition back to our menu scene for us without giving us any any errors. And there. Now let's try that. Now let's try that out. Go back to our menu scene. Go to our help menu. Let's try this guy. No errors. Cool. Let's start. And it should work. And then this is going to take us, when we get up to 100, it's going to take us to our second guy. Nice. So from our main, and then from our level 2, we're going to want another transition. So this destroy cubes guy has this check to say, the script has a check in the update function to say if the score is greater than or equal to 100, then transition to level 2. So we're going to make another destroy cubes class, and we're going to put that on our second level. And this one is going to actually transition to quit the application. So we're going to duplicate this and say destroy cubes 1. We're going to do the same thing. I'm just going to ignore this. Call this destroy cubes 1. Has to match. Oh no, it's the wrong one. Go into destroy cubes 1. There we go. Make sure this these match the name of the file, has to match the name of the class. And then if the score is greater than or equal to 100, then we're going to say application. Where is it on? Here we go. Application.quit, and we need these two libraries in here to do that as well. So, oh, looks like we have them. Okay. Yeah, we have them. Let's say application dot. I'm not sure why it's not auto completing that for us, but that should work. Application.quit. Yep. Alright. And that's going to go in our level 2 instead of the regular destroy cubes class. And so that goes on our destroyer of players. So we're going to remove this. And then we're going to put our destroy cubes 1. And then this text in here, the score text. That should work. Now actually I'm gonna make some changes real quick. So we're gonna make this score is greater than or equal to 10, and then the regular score, we're just gonna do the same thing here. So we're gonna say 5 for this one. So actually what we could do is we can make this a public variable. So we could say public float or public int max max equals 5 and our regular star cube. So this will create a default for that. Public int max score equals 5. Now let's go ahead and put that in here. Oh wait, no, equals 10 for this one. And we can put that variable in here. And what this will do for us, and put that in there, and then that in there, and then in our in the Unity editor now, we can go and look, and we have a default value for the max score because it's a public variable that shows up here, and we can actually change it if we want. So we can go into our main, change this to 6 if we want, something like that. Try that. And this should work now. It should be a complete game. So let's go to our menu, start it up, and start the game. Should just go up to 6 points and then we win. Or we go to the next level. Go, cubes, go. There we go, now we're on level 2. Should go up to 10 points before we win. Oh, it's not working. What do we do? Scene manager, change the scene. Oh, no. Level 2, start players. Max score. Destroy cubes 1 script. Oh, we have an application, or destroy cubes 1. This is an application.quit. So this isn't actually going to work in here. But what we can do, we could say, let's try this just to test it out. Let's do scene. Why aren't you? It's not actually loading our destroy cubes. Huh. This isn't actually loading our guy. Hold on. Boolean. So yeah, so we comment this out just to test this out and say scene. We'll say debug dot log and say end game now. Okay, so this is going to give us a log in our console that says end game now when it goes over the max score. So let's go ahead and test this out. We'll go to level 2. So this is a great way to test our code out in our game. This is to create little debug logs, like this guy, debug.log, and put a string in there. So in our level 2, I'm going to test this out. And so in the console, when this reaches 10, it should give us a log. Never says to reach 10. There we go. So now it's giving us this log over and over again. Probably not the best thing ever, but we don't want that doesn't matter. So it's just gonna quit the application one time for us. So so that should work. And now, last but not least, we are going to make this an executable file that we can play on any Windows computer. So we're going to go to Build Settings, and here we have all our different scenes. We have the menu, main, help, and yeah, that's all we need. And then we can just say Build, and the target platform is Windows. We have a couple different options: Windows, Mac OS, and Linux, and then x86. So yeah, let's choose x86. It doesn't matter if you have a 64-bit computer. If you do, you should know. Then you can click that. But yeah, so you can just press Build, and I'll just put mine on my desktop. I'll say Gravity Game Build number 1. And this will build the game for us. So it's just going to make it executable. I'll show you in a second. So yeah, so this will make an executable file that we can click play the game. And you have to remember that it's going to have a bunch of data assets in the same folder with it. So here we go, Gravity Game Build Data, Build number 1 data, and then this. And then the actual build itself. In order for this to work, you have to have the data folder in the same directory as it. Okay. We're going to double click that. And it gives us our setup window. And then it's going to play in windowed. And we're going to play it. And here we have our game. So we can go to our help menu. We can go back. And press start. There you go. And it works quite nicely so far. And here we have our level 2. See your score going up. I'm slowly. Come on. Almost there. I think they're all getting stuck on this guy. And then it quits out when it hits 10. And yeah. So that's the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed and see you back for our last video. Bye.